Less than 5 months, folks, workers will be replaced. Gold might be your best friend. We may be going down a path where a huge chunk of Americans, maybe even all of us, will be affected by what's coming. The issue is that not many of us are prepared to face reality, and it's only when we're forced to sell our assets or our property or just cut costs drastically do we think, oh crap, I wish I had listened about the coming crash. Now the good news is we may have some time, around 4 to 5 months at least. This relates to the possible layoffs that could be happening for anyone, and before anybody says we're already seeing layoffs, I'm talking about job cuts at a level that we haven't seen before. Now, there's also more data that shows how bigger companies like Walmart are letting thousands of workers go, possibly in exchange for more automated processes. They seem to trust it so much that they've already invested billions of dollars into it and possibly have it up and running in just a few years' time. So are you guys ready to lose your job to a machine? Now, on the topic of investments, some analysts argue that gold may be on its way up well beyond $2,000 an ounce, especially with everything that's happening with the economy and the possible collapses that we could be seeing in different markets, not to mention of the value and the strength of the US dollar. What do you guys think about that? Oh, and of course, by the way, for the best way to invest in gold or silver, be sure to hit the link in the description of this video. Now, before I continue, guys, please do me a huge solid one. Drop a like for the video. It really helps out the channel a lot. And if you guys are new here in need of your daily dose of the truth when it comes to the state of our economy, I'm talking real numbers here. The stock market, real estate, housing market, social security, Washington, D.C., and everything that affects us, be sure to hit the subscribe button. And so, guys, I got to come out and ask, what's your job right now? Do you feel as if you're safe and snug in that position? So here's a wake-up call. No one's safe at this time. With the advancements in artificial intelligence, AI, we should definitely be on the lookout. Look at healthcare. You might think that, nah, healthcare will never need AI, but this could definitely change. Would you believe that within the first 3 months of this year, we've already had almost 23,000 job cuts in the healthcare field? It's funny how you're essential until you're not essential. Now, comparing that to 2022, and that's a spike of 65%. Now, if you thought that was bad, then listen to this analysis that came from Challenger, Gray, and Christmas. Now, of the United States-based employers that they tracked, they found that 270,416 cuts were made in the first quarter of 2023. So how does that compare to 2022? Well, it went up 396%. Wow. Now, I told you I wasn't kidding about the layoffs and also what we should expect for this year. Andrew Challenger, though, the senior VP of the company, he's behind this study and said, quote, "We know companies are approaching 2023 with caution, though the economy is still creating jobs. With rate hikes continuing and companies reining in costs, the large-scale layoffs we are seeing will likely continue," end quote. It's kind of like you're on your way to work on a busy Monday, right? You're driving and you hear something pop. Your tire's flat. You get your jack out, you start fixing your tire, because why? Well, you can't be late. You check your spare and it's also flat. You make your way to work by walking, and right before you enter the building, sweaty and all, you get a text message that you were fired. This is what's happening to our labor market right now. Just when we thought we were at the bottom, things got worse and worse. We don't really have much time, as some would say that we should expect more cuts within the fall. So that's what, I don't know, about 4 or 5 months from now? And you might say, that would never happen to our company. We're a family. There's no need for me to worry. Sure, I mean, that's your life. I'm just trying to wake people up to the truth here. You could probably ask your friends if any of them have lost their job within the last year. Chances are you get at least one. Now, I'm not trying to be doom and gloom here. I'm just sharing the reality here. And this is exactly the reason why the government switched up the definition of a recession, because they wanted to give us hope and keep us spending. They wanted to use our money and our income to prop up an already diving economy. But that can only last as long as we're willing to believe them. Now, if more people figured out the reality of the situation, then more people would instead plan ahead. More people would likely cut costs. And this would show what's really happening behind the curtains. Kind of like the movie The Wizard of Oz. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Yeah, and then we all learn the truth. Now, if you guys want a real reality check, let's look no further than Walmart. So just recently, news broke out that they were laying off more than 2,300 warehouse workers of all. Can you guys believe that? Walmart warehouse workers getting laid off. Now, Walmart is one of the biggest retailers in our country. And if you're seeing the big boys cutting people and they've got basically bottomless bank accounts, then what about smaller businesses? And the cuts are happening in Texas, Florida, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. And the retailer has also now invested more than $14 billion into automation, as they expect 65% of their 4,700 US stores to be able to receive products from the 42 regional distribution centers that are being retrofitted with automation. I'm not making this stuff up, guys. John David Rainey, Walmart's CFO, said, quote, "Automation enables us to improve our throughput at lower cost," keyword being cost, "and to change how our associates work work in new and better ways. Most notably, it allows us to reallocate labor hours closer to the customer to improve the customer and associate experience, end quote. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that sounds like a lot of adjustments, and it's certainly going to force some workers out of the labor market. We're already seeing it, but have you guys tried their self-service checkouts? Of course you have. What do you think about those? Do you prefer the self-checkouts, or do you prefer to go to a cashier where a physical human being's actually or checking you out? Now, with all of this data presented, what's next? Well, many experts are looking into gold, and sooner or later, more people are going to find that much needed hedge, and there's nothing quite like gold in the market except for silver. Both are pretty darn good. Now, we've been told how gold could spike up past $2,050, and I believe we saw that last 2020 when it was priced at $2,075 an ounce. And while that sounds good, there are analysts that say that it could go as high as $2,600 an ounce.
Talk about some of the other factors driving the prices where they are today.
Well, again, you have this issue of asset prices being sold off, and gold has always taken advantage of that. And what's generally happened is the Fed, again, bringing that out, cuts rates to help the economy and help asset prices. That's been a driver of gold in the past, and a lot of people believe that. CME Fed Watch Tool has cuts starting in July of this year, which the Fed says they're not going to do. The problem comes in for gold investors when the Fed starts to aggressively fight inflation. So something we haven't had, which has contributed to gold's underperformance over the last decade or so, was we haven't had inflation, so we haven't had a Fed to fight inflation. And that's kind of gave gold this weakness. When inflation started, gold rallied. We saw that March spike that references almost the all-time high that Shauna mentioned. We're driving toward that again. And if we are in a situation where, as Neil Dutta from Renaissance or at Macro put it, inflation remains unaddressed, then gold's going to benefit from that.
How's that possible? I mean, just by looking at the job numbers and how unstable the stock market, the housing market, and the US dollar going into the future, I mean, we already know what the BRICS nations are doing and how they're trying to de-dollarize the global economy away from the US dollars. So you're going to see more and more people run to something that's proven its worth when the time comes to collapses, and none have done it quite as well as precious metals like gold and silver. But again, that's the experts talking, and that's where I'm looking to invest more money in as I'm seeing a precursor of what's to come. Now, of course, for the best way to invest in gold or silver, be sure to check out the links in the description down below this video. Now, you're all free to your own opinions, but I suggest that you put forth due diligence when it comes to your own personal investments. The clock is ticking fast, and we need to have our lives in order before more of these collapses happen. Do you have your debt in order? Credit card bills, mortgage, car payments? How's your cash flow? Many people seem to believe that, with everything that's happening, opportunities are hard to find, but it's just simply not the case. There are opportunities out there, but to be successful in them, you have to work hard. I mean, think about side hustles and small businesses. If you want multiple streams of income, you really can't go wrong with those methods. I also like to invest in the stock market, real estate, even precious metals like gold and silver to protect your wealth. I like ETFs, exchange traded funds, Vanguard, Charles Schwab, iShares. They all offer different types of ETFs, including dividend paying ETFs that also invest in REITs and real estate. Now, of course, if you guys want me to talk more about these, don't hesitate to drop me a comment down below. I read all the comments, but I just want you guys to know that your financial situation can improve if you're willing to work at it. So before I go, guys, don't forget to drop a thumbs up for the video. Totally appreciate that. Really appreciate the love. And of course, please be kind to one another, and I'll see you guys on the next one.